Hey there, folks. Welcome back to our personal narrative writing. And you'll notice up here in the corner it says day 4. And you're like, what? This is weird. Well, because last week, remember, we did 3 days. Last week, we did the immersion stage. We collected ideas, we chose an idea, and we even started developing. So then you're like, well, Robin, why didn't developing turn gray? Because sometimes that's what good writers do, is they do multiple days of developing. The more you develop, the less you have to do when you draft. Now, some of you like to just sit down and draft right away, and that's okay. Everybody has a different process. So I'm going to show you how this developing and drafting is kind of, you're doing them at the same time. Okay, I'll show you that in this lesson. Now, what you're going to need for this lesson is your storyboard. Remember last week we did our storyboards and mine was on a cardboard box, and then I lost that cardboard. Well, I didn't lose it. I threw it away because I was having to do a lot of work in my garage over the weekend, and so I had to throw it away. And so I just redid it on this kind of paper. But actually what I've done to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you is I have taken a picture of each of my scenes. And so now my storyboard's on the computer, which actually might kind of help me out. If you want to do this, I know Shane did this as well. That was awesome, Shane. If you want to do this, you don't have to. This is completely optional. But all I did was I took a picture of it, and actually I used the Notes app in an iPhone. So if your parents have an iPhone, maybe ask them if they can help you with this, or just take a picture like you normally do with your stuff. That would work too, and put it on a slides doc. You could put it on a slides presentation. I happen to open mine in Kami because it was a PDF, and so it's kind of cool because now I can work with it on the computer. So there is mine, and I'll just read it to you quickly. I hit a good drive and it sailed toward the trees. Remember, I'm talking about my golf outing, right? And so there's my thing. Here's my sounds. Here are my senses. Whack. That was what I heard. Saw the ball getting smaller as it went further. Confident was what I felt. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find my ball. I saw green grass everywhere, but no ball. I saw another golf hole and other golfers' balls, but not my ball. I heard my friends far away finding their balls, right? And so I have my question marks like, where is my golf ball? And you'll notice I'm right here next to the green. That was what I was so happy about. Oh, it was such a good drive. I'm right next to the green, and I couldn't find it. My friend shouted that he found my ball 80 yards back. Here's one. What I saw, a really far away person. What I heard, a yell from really far away. I felt confused and angry. I know my ball landed here. How did it get all the way back there? I went back and sure enough, it was my ball. What? I felt angry. I saw the hole far away, a huge hill. That's why it rolled back. It was a huge hill right here. What I heard, my friends were already on the green. They had already gotten their balls up there, so I'm like super far away now. I hit a really bad shot that went low and to the right. I felt angry and embarrassed. I saw more hill. I was still really far away. I hit another shot and finally got on the green. I felt embarrassed and exhausted. I was closer, but I still wasn't there yet. I'd walked up that whole hill. My ball was still a long way from the hole. I finally got the ball in the hole with 2 putts. What I heard, the ball hit the bottom of the cup. I heard my friends laugh, but not in a mean way, but just, man, like we all laughed about it. Jeez, what a rough hole after what I thought was a pretty good drive. I saw the ball go in. I also saw the next tee box. I felt over that hole. I was done with that hole. And I was ready for the next hole. And that's the end of my story. So there's my storyboard. Like I said, I made it digital, but you don't have to. If you would rather use this, please go for it. That's awesome. All right. Let's look at our strategy today. What are we actually going to do? Because that was last week. You've already done that. I just kind of reviewed what we did last week. So, what's our developing going to look like this week? Well, we're going to do a strategy called Find the Heart. And you're going to kind of play detectives. And here's just kind of a pretend storyboard. I couldn't find good pictures, so I just kind of, that's your storyboard. Pretend that there is your storyboard, and you're going to try to find the heart. And in order to do that, you're going to ask yourself some questions. What's the most important part of your story? Think about it. Which scene is the most important part? You might want to think about, What's the central message you're trying to tell? What's your story really about? And you might want to ask yourself, where are the strongest emotions in my story? Okay, so you first have to find the heart. And then once you've done that, you put a heart around it. If this is the most important scene, that's the one you're going to put a heart around. And why? Because that part, you're going to make it longer. That is developing. That's what good writers do. They find the most important part of their story and they make sure that that's the longest part. That has the most detail. That has dialogue. It has the character's feelings and thoughts. You know what? Writers slow down and describe the setting. So, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for mine. What is the most important part of my story? What's the central message? Well, I don't really have a central message. I was just playing a hole of golf. There's not really a central message. Where did I feel the strongest emotion? That might be one. Let's go ahead and look at it. I hit a good drive. It sailed toward the trees. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find my ball. I'm feeling confused there. That's a pretty good emotion. That's not bad. That could maybe be the heart of my story. My friend shouted that he found my ball 80 yards back. Here's one. That's good, but not the heart of my story. I went back and sure enough, it was my ball. That's it. That feeling of, oh, this is my ball. That's where my strongest emotion was. And then you can see I, hit a bad shot and I finally got on the green and I two-putted. But really, this is where my emotion is. So what am I going to do? I'm going to lengthen it. And how do you do it? Well, luckily, since I have mine here in Cami, I'm just going to add a text box right up here and I'm just start typing. I'm going to build this scene right now. I'm going to draft this scene. And you're like, wait, you haven't even drafted the other parts. I know. That's okay. I want to build the heart of my story first. Now, if you have a storyboard like this one, that's fine. Just get a sheet of paper and write it on this, and then you can attach it to that. You can cut it out and tape it and everything. Writing is messy, folks. Writing doesn't always have to be, okay, I'm going to start here and then I'm going to work my way down. No, writing's all over the place. You should see when I'm writing stuff. I'm cutting and pasting and putting stuff down there and moving stuff up and moving stuff down. Like that's why computers are kind of awesome because you can move stuff around so easily. But even if you're not going to use computer, use this and then just add a sheet of paper, add a Post-it note, add an index card. You can tape it right onto that scene. So here we go. I need to add dialogue. I want to really add details to the scene, like the setting, describe the setting. So here we go. I went back and sure enough, it was my ball. But instead of just going back, I'm going to kind of describe that. I trudged back down the hill in disbelief. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see that a little bit better. Okay, so I went back and sure enough, it was my ball, but I'm kind of stopping that. I'm not really using that sentence. I'm going to write my new sentence. I trudged back down the hill in disbelief. I can't believe how steep that hill was. I want to describe the scene and what else is going around me. My friend was still at the golf ball he had found. And I'm going to add some dialogue. Were you playing a Kirkland? That's the type of golf ball I use. Now, I'm going to reply to him. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the next line. I'm going to hit enter. I don't want too many quotes. I don't know if you guys caught this or not. I was using quotation marks for dialogue. And so I don't want too many quotation marks. Every time a new character speaks, I'm actually supposed to go to a new paragraph. So that means I might have a paragraph right now that's only one line. What? Robin, you're breaking the rules. No, I'm not. Paragraphs are there for me to help you understand what I'm writing. And so I'm going to go to a new line and say, yeah. And that's it. That's my whole paragraph. Yeah. And then my friend's going to say, I think this is it. Sure enough, I looked down and there was the red Sharpie marker or Sharpie mark on my Kirkland 2 golf ball. I felt the anger rising in me. I looked back up the hill and couldn't, believe that my ball rolled back 80 yards. And I would maybe keep going. I'm not going to go too much longer on this lesson because I think you get the point. I'm finding the heart of my story. And instead of it just being one sentence, I'm lengthening it. I'm adding details. Notice this detail. I looked down and there was the red Sharpie mark. I didn't just say, yep, that was my ball. I'm pointing at the small detail. I mark all of my golf balls with a red line on it so that number one, so that I know that it's mine. And then when I'm putting, it helps me. And so I'm pointing out the small details. I might even go further into describing the grass as I'm walking down. I don't know yet. But I'm adding detail, I'm adding dialogue, and I'm adding feeling. I felt the anger rising in me. So that's how you lengthen the heart of your story. If you take your time in developing that first, then chances are it's going to be the most important and readers will really enjoy that part. All right. That is called finding the heart. Go ahead and do that today with your own story and really build that scene. All right.